Torah. Lasok b'divrei Torah, lasok b'divrei Torah. Lasok b'divrei Torah, lasok b'divrei Torah. Okay, so first question. Have you been meditating?
Yes.
And?
It helps for a few minutes. Yeah.
What is help? Well, okay, let's go. Yes, no?
Yes, I tried really hard, and I worked on the breathing, and it didn't work. I gave it a week and a half. The last couple of days, I just blew it off. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry to me.
Well, I was our assignment. I failed.
There's no failing. No such thing.
I haven't been to class lately,
Okay.
but
So-
I will put,
All right,
put that
so
on my agenda and get back
so-
to all of you.
Let's talk about one step at a time. Okay. So, Ed, you made the comment that it works for a few minutes. What does that mean? It works
I felt relaxed for a short time.
immediately and immediately afterwards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Then it went out of my mind, and I started thinking about all the,
So the chatter got in the way.
lots of chatter. Yes.
So you tried doing a triangle breathing of inhaling and holding and inhaling, exhaling, holding. What happened?
I tried laying on my back like you suggested, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I just started breathing again. But I keep yawning, and I understand I'm not getting enough oxygen. I feel like
Okay. So what that means is you're not exhaling fully.
I'm exhaling as much as I can get. I swam competitively. I've done sports. I can breathe, but I just
It's very, now see, okay, so what stroke do you swim?
butterfly.
Okay. Which people don't realize unless they swim butterfly is the most natural of the 4 strokes.
It's really cool. It feels so fun.
It's the most natural. I swam competitively for 12 years. So butterfly is the most natural stroke. People think it's crazy, but it's not. Once you get into the rhythm, right, it's okay. So I'm going to use that as an example, though. Okay. So most people, you guys never swam competitively.
Not competitive.
Okay. So if I was to ask you what's the toughest stroke, you'd probably say butterfly.
From what I've seen, yeah,
Because of what you see.
and from what I've tried.
And from when you try it, because you sit there floundering. But once you get that rhythm,
You're flying over the water. You just picture yourself. You feel like you're flying over.
but
the
you
water.
have to get the rhythm. You have to know when to do the double kick. You have to know. Otherwise, you're just arching higher, which is making yourself go down deeper, which is making yourself arch higher, which makes yourself go down deeper, and you can't swim. You're flailing around. Right?
My natural stroke is floating on my back.
Which I hate, by the by, because the water goes in my ears.
So you're used to rhythmic breathing. Okay. Swimmers typically have the highest GPA in schools. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't.
Because your brain naturally, when you're swimming, goes into a meditative state. Okay.
Okay.
And it's just you and a lane line for 10,000 yards a day. Okay. So it's actually the most natural sport to get you into an altered state of consciousness. It's rhythmic breathing and it's body movement and it's just you. There's no distraction. Okay. But for someone who doesn't know butterfly, they're flailing all around and saying this is the worst thing in the world. Now you and I both know that's not true. That breaststroke is actually exponentially more difficult, right? So you're used to exhaling a certain amount. Did you scuba dive?
Yeah.
Okay. How was that for you? Is that easy or hard?
It was easy, and especially going up, because it felt like you could really empty your lungs as you went up, and you're breathing out so you don't get bends, and so you're breathing out, and it seemed like there was more air going out than ever went in.
Okay. So what's that tell you? You know that intellectually there's not more air going out than came in.
Means that I wasn't emptying my lungs as much as I was when I was going up. Okay.
Okay. When you are swimming, you're never, I shouldn't say never, most of the time when you're working out, you're not emptying your lungs fully. I mean, you're in water. You don't necessarily want to empty your lungs fully. Okay. But that's what you need to not need, but that's what you would do so that you can let it all out and then let more in. We are taught to hold our breath and holding it. But the reality is that that's based in fear. That's what happens when we're scared or anxious. When we're relaxed, the breath comes out easier. Okay? Not just when we're relaxed, but also when we're in the moment. We scream, or we're passionate, or we're scared, or we scream, or we're angry and we scream. Any of those experiences, someone yells, they let all the air out, don't they? They don't go, ah! Right? They let it all out. So it's about getting to the place of being willing to do that, which is antithetical to what we're brought up in this culture. Okay. In terms of it, you feel more centered or relaxed or aware, whatever you want to call it, out immediately after meditating, doing that breathing. And then it goes away and the chatter goes away. So I think I used this analogy before. When you tune a stringed instrument, it stays in tune briefly and then goes out of tune quickly. And you keep having to tune it. And then it stays in tune longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. Eventually, you don't even have to tune the instrument for a long
I played
time.
violin, and I know exactly what you're saying.
This is the same thing. The more that you do it, the more you're tuning your soul. The more you tune your soul, the longer it stays in tune. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So,
Are you saying that this is more than just mental? It's almost religious if done correctly?
it's not that it's almost religious, it is deeply religious.
Thinking of
Deeply.
nothing is deeply
I
religious.
didn't say thinking of nothing.
Oh,
Okay? You never heard me say thinking of nothing.
no, I never did.
Okay? That's like saying don't think about the naked elephant on the table. What do we think about? The naked elephant on the table.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just being centered enough that whatever you think just passes right through with no attention to given to it, no emotion given to it, no energy given to it, no focus given to it. Just,
Okay.
you know, it's not about focusing on the nothing. Okay, which is their term for it. We have called Ein Sof. Ein Sof means without an end or end without a beginning. And as we do more meditations, then that can be, you start going to those kind of places where you're using a pathway, a specific pathway of the Chachalot, of the halls of God's palace, to traverse through those halls to be in a place where you're in the king's chamber. But first step has to be just receiving breath and letting it all out. Because when we don't, we can't ever feel like we're getting filled back up. Okay, it's like taking a glass of water and you can keep getting fresh water, except you're only emptying the top 3/4 of the glass. You keep putting new water in. Well, the bottom water has been there for a long time. Got to get it all out to put the new water in. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's look a little bit now, studying a little bit about Jewish mysticism. Okay, so if we look on the first page, God is constantly saying, Ayacha, where are you? And it's about being present. Being present means being in this moment, in this place, in this time. Now, if infinity equals infinity, that which is infinitely small equals that which is infinitely big. Does that make sense? Right? That's above, so below. So if we can be totally conscious in ourselves, the more that we become conscious in the moment, in this space, the more conscious we are of other spaces, other moments. Does that make sense to you when I say it that way?
Mm-hmm.
So think of it like, we're spiraling, but there's a spiral going here too. And the more aware that we are of our own being alone, the more we are aware of being a branch on the tree of life, and as a result, all of the tree. Okay? It is, I think, a simple definition. I love Yogi Bhasan's comment at the top of the page. Prayer is when the mind is one pointed and man talks to infinity. Meditation is when the mind becomes totally clean and receptive and infinity talks to the man. Meditation in Judaism, Rabbi Nachman teaches how it is the most powerful tool we can have. It's about our own personal relationship with ourselves, with life, with God. And that gives us, as we understand and experience our personal relationship with God more and more consciously and deeper, then we also are able to experience the macrocosmic at a deeper level. Does that make sense to you guys? Did you look a little?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's go to page. We're going to skip through this, and you guys should take these and read them, go through them. So, and this is a great quote from Abraham Joshua Heschel, blessed memory. At the moment in which the artist is absorbed in playing a concerto, the thought of applause, fame, or remuneration is far from his mind. His complete attention, his whole being is involved in the music. Should any extraneous thought ever enter his mind, it would arrest his concentration and mar the purity of his playing. The reward may have been on his mind when he negotiated with his agent, but during the performance, it is the music that claims his complete concentration.
Yes.
It's true with everything we do, whether it's a sport, a profession, an art. If we're so concerned on what are we getting paid for it, how people receiving it, we get out of the zone. There is a great movie. It's not a great movie, but it's good, appropriate for this, called For the Love of the Game, which is a baseball movie with Kevin Costner. And have you ever seen it?
I've heard of it, but never.
Okay, he ends up pitching a perfect game. I think it was For the Love of the Game. It might have been called The Perfect Game. It's a Kevin Costner baseball movie, and he's going through all this stuff, and he's pitching. All of a sudden, he's like in the 8th inning, and one of his other players goes, "You realize you got a perfect game going."
Looks like jinxing.
And then all of a sudden he's pulled out of it, and his teammates help him out. But so we need to be so present in that moment that everything else will become present in as well. Key to it is that water wears away stone. So you worked on breathing for a week and a half, and you did it how long per day?
I set my watch for 12 minutes.
Okay. So 12 minutes a day for a week and a half. So let's call it 2 hours total, which seems like a lot, except how many hours have you been alive? How many hours have you been breathing in a different way? Okay. And so you have all those hours over here, and all of a sudden, because you've got intention, you're going to suddenly change your whole breathing patterns in 2. Water wears away stone. A little step at a time is really how we have to view it all, because you don't realize how far you've gone until over a course of time, right? You see your own kids grow up, and your kids, you see them and they're growing up. Someone else doesn't see them for 6 months, sees them 6 months later, says, "Oh my God, how they've grown!" Isn't that what happens? So this is the same thing. You don't see it in them until you see it from a broader perspective. You want to say something, Ed?
Yeah, I was reading one of these and I don't understand it. And
Well, let's get to it. Which
But I
one?
have a question about in the exercise of meditation. Could one argue that meditation, just like a lot of other things in Judaism, is when you do it as part of a community?
There are
It's easier to do it than when you're solitary.
So yes and no.
If you're with a group and you like ring the bell and someone sort of guides you through it very gently, and then they help you catch yourself in the okay, you notice your thoughts or
So
and that
yes and no.
you're less likely to fall asleep or get overwhelmed.
There are meditations that are very clear for community. There are meditations, that at the end of the day are your personal ones with you and God, with each of us and God.
Got it.
And the Shema is a meditation. Literally, it's a meditation, which I'd like to go over a little bit. But so the prayers are designed to put you in that kind of place. So let's keep going down. Which comment as you were reading down?
From the Baal Shem Tov, the be indifferent to others loving you or hating you, for their love or hatred means nothing. He's almost equating love and hatred, and in my mind, they're so different. And
They're
love,
very different. The opposite of love is apathy.
yeah, and the problem is, how can you be indifferent when you feel love coming? It doesn't help you to even meditate because
Well,
it
okay.
takes away some of the chatter.
Someone
anyhow.
else's opinion of me, loving me, giving me kudos, hating me, should that affect my relationship with life?
I think it does.
It can, doesn't have to.
Well,
Doesn't have to.
if the term love is being used for adoration or something like that, then that's different.
I think it's to be indifferent to someone else's take on you.
That's a better way to put it.
I think that maybe did that make it a little easier?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's. This is a great. I love this quote. My master, the Baal Shem Tov, taught in the name of Ratzadi Gaon that the main reason man was created in this physical world was to break down his natural bad habits, his bad traits. Because we're here to make rectification. We're here to fix things.
Yes.
Okay.
According to
this, and I think it's a beautiful teaching. So let's come on down a little bit to page 3, because I want to get to some of the ideas. Okay, so whenever man sanctifies himself through a certain part of his body, he rectifies the universes that correspond to that particular part of the body. In each part of the body, there are certain vibrations, energies, whatever you like to call them. And when you're rectifying one piece, you're rectifying a larger piece as well. The Buddha walks into a room. He didn't have to say anything. Everybody changes, doesn't he? Don't they? Okay. Whether he says anything or not, whether they want to or not, everyone is changed because he's in balance. There's a beautiful story of how there was a shaman in Peru, and he was called by a neighboring village's shaman to come and come help out the village because there was no rain in the village. So he got there and he walked around. He said, I want you to build me a hut here in the center of the village. He went in the hut. He stayed there for 3 days and it started to rain. What he did is he said, look, everybody in your village, you're out of balance. So I went to the center of the village. I put myself, I could feel that I was out of balance by coming into that space. I put myself in balance. That then extended. And the natural place of harmony and balance is to have the right amount of rain. So a big part of this is how we put ourselves into a place of being aware. Okay? Excessive tension, this is from Rabbi Greenbaum. Rabbi says, excessive tension is often a factor in faulty and inhibited breathing, which can give rise to low energy levels, lack of clarity, nervousness, and a lowering of resistance to disease. It is most valuable to learn to breathe freely and fully, and to make it a habit to pause periodically in the course of one's daily activities in order to re-energize with a few long breaths. But do we do that? So you spent 12 minutes out of, let's just say you're up for 12 hours. Okay. So you spent what? A total of 12 minutes out of, spent 1/60th the amount of time?
Yeah.
So 59/60ths, is that right? Is my math right? You were breathing one way, and then 1/60th you were breathing a different way.
We'll stipulate the numbers are close enough.
Okay. A lot breathing in one way, and then a little bit breathing in another way.
sometimes I think your body says it's time to do that, and you sigh, and you don't even know
You
you
sneeze,
did
you yawn, you
it.
laugh, you cough, you fall,
Sighing is a way,
and
of
you go to
doing
sleep.
it. Or no, it could be the middle of the day too. A lot of tension, everything going on. and you sigh, and all of us, maybe that's the body's way of saying,
It's, of course, it's
time to
possible.
take a little break.
And we don't breathe, and that's really a very key. So
Yeah.
let's look at some pieces. It is best to meditate and pray in the meadows outside the city. The grass will awaken your heart. Now, we don't live in the city out here. It's gentrified, but you can go outside here and see the stars. You can't do that in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah.
You must make sure to set aside a specific time each day to review your life calmly. Consider what you're doing. Ponder it worthwhile for you to devote your life to it.
Where are you?
I'm on the bottom of page 3. This is one of the other things that will make it easier. So you did 12 minutes a day. Do you do it at the same time every day?
Yeah.
The same place?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's very healthy. That makes a difference. That makes it a lot easier to do it that way. Do it twice a day in the same place. Okay. Let's come down on page 4. Okay. These are all guidelines from the Essential Rebbe Nachman translated by Greenbaum, that are about meditation, Hisbodedus. Hisbodedus is of the greatest value. It is the way to come closer to God because it includes everything else. No matter what you lack in your service of God, even if you feel totally removed from His service, tell God everything and ask Him for all that you need. Many great and famous tzaddikim righteous ones have said that all their achievements came only through meditation. Anyone with understanding can recognize the supreme value of this practice, which ascends to the most sublime heights. The advice applies to everyone equally, from the very least to the very greatest. Everyone is capable of practicing it, can attain great levels, and happy are they all who persist in it. But it means doing it. So you can give all the tools you want to your children, especially if they're teenage boys, right? But if they don't use it, what good is it? Right?
Or daughters.
Well, I can't comment on that.
I concur.
No,
Okay. When God helps with Hisbodedus, it is like a person talking to his friend. The idea that to pour out our hearts with God, God wants us to be unified like that. When we talked about unification. God wants that feeling with us. Prayer originally began with each person pouring out his heart before God in his own words and language. Even today, the original form of prayer remains primary. Besides following the order of prayers, it is extremely beneficial to make a regular practice of offering your own prayers and requests from the depths of your heart in a language you understand best. This is the essence of prayer. This is the way all the tzaddikim attained their high levels. Okay, so this is just to give some ideas of these different quotes, like a child pleading with his father to pray for everything, to really be open and honest and open ourselves to understanding and experiencing God. Why do I feel like this handout is not the right handout? Because it's not. It's too small. It's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. So let's talk a little bit about, because these are all things that we need to learn. So let's talk a little bit about the structure. Okay. If we look at the human being, remember we talked about 10 energy centers, right? And you got these 10, and we're looking at the person that way. This is his right chest, his left chest, etc. Okay, we're looking at him. So he's standing like this. All these things connect, right? There are all these pathways that connect them all, right? But everything, I'm not doing all of them because I'm not going to do all of them. Everything comes back and comes down and connects right here. This is called Tiferet. It's your solar plexus. In martial art, they will call it your hurrah point. In some Native American places, they will call it your assemblage point. This is our balance point. It is literally right here. Okay? This place, the valve that connects everything. It is connected to everything and from everything. So if you're out of balance, then focusing on this becoming in balance would make a difference, wouldn't it? Did everyone follow me on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, because it reaches out to everything. So even if you didn't focus on anything else, you could focus here. Now we're taught that there's actually colors associated with each of these things. that you can see at different times. Different sages over the centuries have come up with, they see the colors differently. Typically thinking red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and ultraviolet, and infrared, and clear, bright white light. Okay, if you open up our arc, what do you notice those colors? Notice that there's those little gemstones in the arc? That's why they're there. They're the 10 spherot in the right colors. So it's like a rainbow. We are literally a rainbow. If I'm out of balance with my compassion, either I'm too compassionate or not compassionate enough, I can focus on my chesed, on my compassion. And if you look at the chart, this is, I'll bring next week a full handout. I'll get it to you, Orlando. I'll get it to you. Because this is not, this doesn't include 2/3 of it. Okay, so I don't know where the other one is, but I know we have it. So, because the other one has charts. That's the only reason. So if I want to get back in better balance, I can get into balance by focusing on, give me 1 second. Focusing on that color that might be associated with that quality. Or the day that might be associated with that quality. Or the instrument, not the instrument, excuse me, the note that might be associated with that quality. Because there's how many notes in a scale? In a Western scale?
Well, including half notes, I don't know, but there's 8 whole notes, but
No, there's 7 whole notes.
yeah, if you count the 8th is the same as the first.
Right, so there's
7 whole notes, but there's a lot of half notes and quarter notes and all kinds
well,
of
you can
stuff.
play quarter notes. You can say there's 5 in a pentatonic scale.
That's right.
You have different relationships based on Dorian, Lydian,
A lot of
Mixolydian.
notes.
But there's 7 major notes. They correspond to the 7 first planets. They correspond to a rainbow. They correspond to parts of our body. What I'm trying to say is that Judaism has all of this overlaid on each other to be able to work that. But the first key is to experience and embrace the concept and the experience of being a little bit more centered. Okay, so for you it helped a little bit. For you couldn't really get the breathing down. But when you thought you did, you fell asleep.
I drifted off, and I thought it was interesting that when I would come back, I would breathe in. So I was drifting off with my breath out, like you said.
So you're not exactly sure how long you drifted off, or if you were doing it right, or if you're drifting off was changing your neurochemistry and putting you in a meditative state, right?
Could have been.
Okay. So don't lay down.
Yeah, that's my new policy now.
Don't lay down. It'll be a little bit harder to drift
I
off.
wanted to breathe right, because we were talking about that 2 weeks ago, and I
But
just
it's
wanted
not.
to-
It was only a method to say, well, how is breathing right going? It doesn't mean you have to
Yeah,
lay
don't.
down and do
I was
it.
trying to train myself. I was
Okay,
trying to-
that-
You already been
That's what it
swimming.
is.
You know how to
Yeah,
breathe. Fine.
you know how to.
Well, now I know that swimming is the same thing, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that 2 weeks ago because I didn't ask the right question.
That's okay. So what I want to do those is because to kind of I want to get the handout that has some of this structure already in it, so I don't have to write it up. Because if I do write it on the board, you're going to laugh at me for my art, and it takes a long time. So I'll get that. So we'll get that taken care of. But I want to try and work on the breathing a little bit for you. Okay. So Bob, you were not here last time, right? You were. Or you were not.
I was not.
Okay. So the idea is, the concept is, it's called triangle breathing. You inhale to a count of 4, exhale to a count of 4, and you hold it with your lungs empty for a count of 4. And you want to be inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Where do you think you want your tongue and why? Where do you think you want your tongue and why?
While inhaling, exhaling, or both?
Yes.
I don't know, as flat as possible.
Okay.
As
As flat as possible. What do you say?
I think it has to be in different places.
Okay. What do you say?
My tongue is almost always resting on the inside of my lower teeth and flat. Yes.
I would say whatever. Let's
But that's,
breathe
you
properly.
know,
I'm trying to visualize my tongue right now.
yeah.
Okay, what do we never do when I have a marker in my hand?
Laugh.
Laugh. Too late.
Okay.
I love to laugh.
That's not a bad drawing. I like it.
All I can see is his back, so it's fine for me.
That's not.
Okay.
Okay, let's get his eyebrow down a little bit. Okay, so there's Mr. Okay. Now, his mouth has teeth up here and teeth down here. Right? Bottom teeth and top teeth. And his tongue is coming from here. Right? That's his tongue. Really tough to get kosher tongue these days. It's gotten very expensive. When I was a kid, tongue was a very cheap meat. Never mind.
Tongue is wonderful, man.
Okay, it's great, cool. Okay, now where's the tongue go connect to?
Down here.
Down here, right?
Yeah.
One here,
It's a
right?
huge muscle.
Okay, big strong muscle, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, it's connecting to your whole body, isn't it? You're inhaling, and down here, this is your throat. What else does that connect to? His ear and his nose, right? So the tongue's actually connecting with all those things, isn't it? On a certain level. It's connected to your whole body, and because it's the breath, it's also connecting you to those top three spheroid. You guys with me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is one really ugly drawing.
It's beautiful.
It's a wonderful diagram. Maybe not art, but
It's something. Okay, now, if that tongue is laying on flat on here, right? And you're inhaling and you're exhaling, it's not a complete circuit, is it? If the tongue, on the other hand, is resting up here, so the tip of the tongue is on the back of the top of the teeth,
Top of it.
you're actually making a circuit, aren't you? Right?
how do you breathe out with your tongue up there?
No, breathe in.
Easily.
You exhale with it off, but you inhale.
Okay, thank you.
So you're getting all of it and then you're exhaling it out. So you're able to get all of that circuit and bring the circuit down here. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to erase this drawing, lest to be repeated and become a piece of expensive art that gets pirated.
You could auction it along with the wrist thing.
Yeah, because that's, I could put it at 100 Biden auction. Okay, so that's the first piece. Okay, second piece is what's back here?
Your spine.
Type of
Your spine, your pituitary
Yeah.
stuff back here, right? So imagine that there's a line from there. It's also where your tongue is going down here, right? Just on the back. But from there, straight up to right there, your third eye. Okay? By connecting your tongue to the back of your top teeth as you inhale. Okay? You're also able to open things up. Does that make sense? Okay? So, let's sit up straight and take off our watches for a moment. Okay, sit straight and across our legs. And for a moment, imagine that we are not breathing, but we are being breathed. You are not inhaling, God is blowing the breath of life into you. You're not exhaling, God is taking the breath from you. You might have just felt a need to yawn, right?
Yeah.
So it's also about stretching. So just relax, close your eyes. You don't need any glasses on either. Not going to help you see in this world. So for a moment, inhale. Just kind of feel the breath filling you up. What moment does that breath become yours? What moment as you are inhaling does the breath become yours? Exhale through your mouth. And we're going to do triangle breathing, focusing on that we're not inhaling, God is blowing into us. We're not exhaling, God is taking from us. And inhale. And exhale. 1, 2. And hold it with your lungs empty. 2. And inhale. And now exhale. 3, 4, and hold it with your lungs empty. 2, 3, 4. And inhale from your belly first. 3, 4, and exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it. Hold it with your lungs empty. Don't keep breathing. And inhale slowly. 3, keep inhaling. 4, and exhale through your mouth. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Open your eyes. So you were having trouble holding with your lungs empty. Okay, so you sit up and you really slow down your inhale. So it's really, and then you exhale through your mouth. Do with your eyes open. 3, go exhale through your mouth. This is your mouth.
Got it.
And hold it with your lungs empty. And now inhale slowly. And exhale. Hold it. And inhale slowly. 3. Okay, stop for a sec. Tell me. You're doing much better. Tell me what can you see? Okay. If I'm inhaling like this, I can exhale first. What part of my lungs should I fill up first? No, I'll watch it again. Or you can stop. Let me try just standing up. That might be easier. Okay. What part of inhale first? My belly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I'm inhaling like this, my chest, right?
Your chest. Yeah.
Now, that means I've left that 2/3 of my lungs
Empty or
not being refilled. Okay. So that's why to sit up really straight and to really force our bellies to go out as we inhale to expand our diaphragm. And then God fills up that vacuum created by the diaphragm opening up.
If I must say, I really felt that because I was physically moving this, but I wasn't bringing in the air. It was coming in from outside just by itself.
I wish we could all do that Watsu massage I was telling you about. It's just a really interesting thing when someone's manipulating you in the water so that you're expanding and the diaphragm opens up and you get air and then it closes up and you're underwater and you think you can't do anything, but you got to surrender and you can't, and then he moves you again. So it's not that we're sucking in the air. What are we doing? We're creating the space. That's how the breath works. The diaphragm. Do you guys remember? I think we're all old enough to remember The Invisible Man. Not the movie, but did you guys ever hear of the model Invisible Man?
Oh, yeah. They had it on display. They've had it on display.
So they used to have one for kids.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was the torso of a guy. It was all plastic, and you made it all. And the bottom right here was where his diaphragm was, and there were the lungs there and everything else. And the bottom was like a balloon material. And when you pull it down, which is his diaphragm, the lungs would expand. The lung, because you've now created the space, open up the vacuum. So great little model for kids. So it's about choosing to be focused on breath. So it's not about thinking about nothing, is it?
It's you have to focus on the physical aspect of allowing the breath to come in.
So you're focusing on the breath, on the movement, on whatever you want to freeze it,
Yeah,
but you're
yeah,
not,
yeah.
and whatever comes into your mind as you're doing it comes in and goes out.
Superfluous, has nothing to do with breath.
It comes in, it comes out.
Yeah.
That's all. All right, so let's try that again, just very slowly. Okay. These are all WhatsApp from Israel, so forgive me. I'm relatively certain this is all about Hamas.
Sounds like they're breaking.
They're not going to break
Well,
until they're
they
forced to.
say
Let
that.
me phrase that. They're not going to break till they're broken.
Yeah, they're getting close, I think.
Well, the problem is you have the billionaires in Qatar who are not getting close.
Yeah, well, screw them. Excuse my French.
Okay, so we want to create that space. It's creating a holy space. So again, it's inhale through your nose. Now blow it out through your mouth. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. And inhale. And exhale. And hold it. Inhale. And exhale. And hold it. The distractions, walking in and walking out, or WhatsApp or anything else, they just kind of go by you, right? So when you breathe, you keep wanting to be on, right?
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Every 3 breaths. It's really distracting.
You're making me yawn, that's all. Which is a sign of empathy. You know that, right?
I did not. Okay.
Oh, that's an empathy. It's an empathy test. If everyone around you is yawning and someone else doesn't yawn, then you got to wonder their empathy level.
You may be interested to know part of our warm up for singing is almost exactly what you're doing. We breathe out first to empty,
Mhm.
then we breathe in through our nose, the proper breath, and we hold the breath in just by opening your throat and not closing it to hold it in. It's just open, and by not moving anything, it stays there, and then you breathe out.
Look,
It's almost
David
the
is a
same.
singer.
Yeah,
Okay, David is the singer.
yeah.
So here's my suggestion. Next week we'll go over. I'll get the right handouts so we have charts we can really, because I wanted to go through some of the chart stuff. But let's really work it. Try doing it twice a day, and instead of just blowing out like, blow it out like you know. Let me tell you a couple of things where this also goes. Okay. Through 10 Sefirot, right? 10 energy centers, 10 commandments. When God says the Shema, when we say the Shema, what do we say? We say Shema, which means listen. Yisrael, which is the name of our people. Adonai Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, right? And Hashem or Adonai is actually Yod He Vav He, which is an inhale and exhale. Okay. So when God talks to me, does God talk to me as the people of Israel?
No,
God talks to me by my name, right?
Talks to you
talks to me.
as a person, individual.
Or Moshe Yisrael.
Yeah.
Okay, Moshe specifically, Moshe Yisrael ben Avraham HaKohen. Okay, God doesn't call me everybody. And when I say, so we translate, listen, you people of Israel. So we listen, Michael, right? Yod He Vav He, Eloheinu. God is the Lord is our God. Am I going to say our God, or am I going to say my God? If I'm talking with God, is God our God? If I'm having a private conversation, or my God?
No, it's my God.
Okay, it's a personal relationship, right? So count the number of inhales and exhales for the Shema. Moshe Yisrael. So saying Israel, I said my Hebrew name, Moshe Israel. So saying Eloheinu, I said Elohai, my God. How many inhales and exhales? Did you count?
I think 8, but I don't remember.
Count, did you count it all?
I didn't count, sorry.
Count again. It's hard to do this with any voice, because you're not really. It's premeditation, right? So I'm this will be one hand for inhales. This will be a hand for exhales, right? Moshe Israel. How many?
10.
5 and 5, right? They correspond to 10 energy centers.
Is there a way for me
Of course,
to get the
we're
words?
going to actually do that next week.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to give you an idea so you understand some different meditations. There are 10 vowel systems. Okay. If you look at Hebrew letters and Hebrew vowels, there's 10 vowel sounds. Okay. We do a meditation using God's Yud, He, Vav, and He letters with each of the vowel sounds. So, and so on. You actually do one with each breath, such as yaw, ha, and it really gets, the whole thing takes 20, 30 minutes to do. Those are all based around breath and the name. I'm saying all this so you understand that our meditative techniques one are built on the other, and they're very, very deep. It's about starting being comfortable in a different breathing system first. Do you ever teach swimming?
To my kids.
Okay. Do you ever teach butterfly?
No. Though I tried to help them learn it, but we weren't, no.
Okay. So there's really 3 steps, right? There's where you enter, there's here, and there's here, right before you come out, right? So it's in, breathe, kick, in, right?
Yeah.
And you get this, like you say, you're a dolphin, you're flying on the water. But until you realize that there's each of those places, and that you're kicking here and kicking here, you're flailing around. You've seen plenty of people do that, right? It's the same thing. So before trying to swim butterfly, first you got to know, like when I would teach kids to swim butterfly, I would actually have them put one arm out, the other, and just breathe on the side. In, breathe, kick, with a dolphin kick. Does that make sense? So they got the rhythm, and then do it on the other side. Can't lift my arm that way anymore. And then do both. This is the first step. Okay, this is the first step before you can sing a scale, before you can sing a fifth, to know that there are different notes, to be comfortable that there are these different notes, right? We typically teach a person in Western culture a major scale first, right? There's no reason to, is there? Right? There's absolutely no reason.
No, you could start with minor
But-
scale.
But for Western culture, you build
Yeah.
on the ear that is already there for major scale.
Yeah.
So we want to build on the breathing. So this triangle breathing. And then I'll get the handout, so it's a thicker handout. And we'll learn more about studying, but I also want you guys to have to practice the breath part. Okay? Otherwise, just studying about it. And that doesn't really do a lot, if that makes sense.
Can you do it standing up?
Can, it's hard. Well, I shouldn't say it's hard. For me, it's hard. Look, every culture meditates in their own in body positions that are comfortable for them. People don't meditate, but who live in India, they sit in a half lotus position anyhow. People in Africa meditate in a squat position, but that's also the position they're constantly in. The indigenous people are constantly in. Okay, many people sit crisscross applesauce, right? Cross legs, but that's how they sit anyhow. It's a good idea to be sitting straight. It's a good idea not to be crossing, because when you do, you're actually affecting things because you're moving those lines. But it's your experience of what's best for you. Okay.
Yeah, and often feet flat on the full floor, that.
Whatever. Look, you were meditating without realizing it for years when you swam laps. Just that's the reality. That's why swimmers have higher GPAs typically than other athletes,
Interesting.
because their brain chemistry is already being trained. They're naturally going into that space.
So then the swimming trained them to be smarter.
Yes.
Okay, cool beans.
Yes. And, it naturally puts you in that place. Come on, think how many times. So how competitively did you swim? Like 5,000 to 10,000 yards a day?
I don't remember how far. We would work out for 2 hours after school every night.
Okay.
I was on the boys' team the last 2 years.
Okay. So you were swimming, if you're doing 2 hours, you're probably doing about 6,000 to 7,000 yards a night,
Okay.
typically. And when you're warming up with a 500 or 1,000, when you really get into it, you don't even know how to count, do you?
We used to scratch on the little papers on the side of the pool because we'd lose count. Because
Why'd you lose count? I mean, think about it. There's no reason to lose count. Everyone can count to 40. That's how many laps it is for 1,000 yards. 20 for 500. Can't count to 20?
it's just a long time in between times you touch the wall.
And your
And
mind
because
is someplace
your mind
else,
is
too.
going, your mind is not.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's a good thing. It's not a bad
Excuse
thing.
me for speaking about it.
No, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a good thing. You just sort of get lost. And I think it's actually not called flow of the game. I think it's called the perfect game. And it's a good thing to get lost in that moment. And that moment gets longer and longer and longer. But you gotta practice it.
Okay.
Okay? So let's do that, and then we'll do it next week. We don't have another President's Day next week, do we? I don't think there's any more holidays coming up until Purim, right?
Might rain, but who cares?
As long as it's not like it was that one time.
Yeah.
That was just out of control.
Okay.
And we'll do it from
It's
there.
supposed to be pretty bad.
Is it supposed to be pretty bad
Supposed to
again?
be another river. Maybe
For how-
not as bad as last time, but worse than this past.
How long is
weekend.
this rainstorm going to last?
They just said it would come back Monday. They didn't say how,
Well,
or Sunday or
they-
Monday.
Well, they expect rain on Friday and or Saturday. Not a lot. I mean, but it's not going to be bad at all.
So
We'll just get a text at the last minute, right?
I hope not. I don't want to. I mean, look, we got what 8 inches in 2 days last time or something.
I
It was
have an electric
ridiculous.
car. I found out that we can drive through water. You seen the videos of Teslas? They're like submarines. They can go be submerged because nothing bad happens because they don't have a combustion engine.
Oh, I understand.
But if they're there long enough,
They might short out.
They might
Short on
they
the
might electrocute the whole world, but
certainly the fish would die.
it's so. But you gotta just take it a step at a time, because once your breathing is comfortable in a different way, it becomes easier to build permutations on it. So use music as an example. Once you're comfortable with just the major notes of a scale, what the major scale sounds like, it becomes very easy to go 1 3 5 3 1, right? And then it's not so hard to go 1 3 5 4 6 4 5 3 1, right? It starts you, and then you can start doing all sorts of things. But first, you got to go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. First, you got to be comfortable with that piece.
Now Julie Andrews standing by.
Who?
Julie Andrews.
Oh, I thought you said the Andrews sister.
No, sure.
That's before your time.
So we're all so yeah. Well, it's very funny to say Julie Andrews. So